I still remember the exact sound of her voice. Cold. Controlled. Like she had rehearsed every word in front of a mirror. I'm leaving you for my ex. I never truly loved you. 10 years together, reduced to a sentence. She didn't even blink when she said it. I thought I'd feel something. Rage. Sadness. Betrayal. But I didn't. I just nodded. It wasn't the reaction she expected. She looked at me, waiting for the explosion, for me to demand answers, to make her feel guilty. But I gave her nothing. Because the truth is, I had already buried our marriage months ago. She just didn't notice the funeral. That night, she packed her things quietly. Her favorite perfume filled the hallway, the same one she wore on our first date. Funny how a scent can turn from comfort to poison. She took her clothes, her jewelry, and the small safe box I'd left unlocked on purpose. Inside it, just enough cash to make her feel victorious. Not enough to matter. When the front door closed, I just sat there in the living room, staring at the space where her shoes used to be. There was a kind of peace in that silence. Like the house was finally breathing again. People always imagine heartbreak as something loud, yelling, slamming doors, breaking things. But mine was quiet. I'd already cried months before, the first night I realized she was texting someone else under the covers, pretending to be asleep. I remember lying there, eyes open in the dark, listening to her breathe. I didn't confront her. I just started thinking. Thinking about how love can turn into habit. How loyalty becomes blindness. And how sometimes the best revenge is simply letting someone destroy themselves. When she said she was leaving, I didn't stop her. In fact, I made it easier. I told her I'd take care of everything, the house, the accounts, the lawyers. She smiled, thinking she'd won. But she never once wondered why I wasn't fighting back. That's the thing about guilt, it blinds people. They see your calm as weakness, not preparation. I went to bed that night alone for the first time in a decade. I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I brewed coffee and watched the sunlight hit the empty side of the kitchen table. Her mug was gone. Her chair was still pushed back, like she just stood up and walked out of my life mid-conversation. I didn't touch it. I wanted it to stay like that, a reminder of how easily she'd erased me. Around 10 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice, shaky, nervous. Mr. Carter? This is Stephen, Julia's lawyer. Could we talk for a moment? I didn't say anything. He hesitated, then added quietly. The house, the accounts, my God, what did you tell her yesterday? I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because in that one sentence, I knew, everything was working exactly as planned. People think being betrayed breaks you. It doesn't. It just teaches you what silence can do. While she was busy lying, I was busy preparing. And now, every lie she told was about to cost her something real. That was the morning my story really began, not as a husband, not as a victim, but as a man finally done pretending to be loved. I used to think love meant patience. That if you waited long enough, forgave enough, gave enough, it would all come back to you somehow. That's what Julia taught me, or maybe that's what I taught myself to believe. When we first met, she was everything I thought I wanted. Sharp. Beautiful. Mysterious. She had this way of looking at you like she already knew the ending, but wanted to see how long you'd take to figure it out. She'd been through heartbreak, she said. Her ex had cheated on her, broken her trust, ruined her ability to love again. And I, like an idiot trying to play savior, promised I'd be different. I swore I'd never make her feel unsafe. Turns out, I kept that promise too well. The first few years were perfect, or maybe I was just too blind to see the cracks. We built a house together, started a business. She managed the books, I handled the clients. People said we were the kind of couple others envied. But envy looks a lot like illusion from far away. Because behind the smiles, the matching photos, and the couple goals posts, there was a quiet distance growing between us, inch by inch, day by day. She'd work late more often. She'd take calls outside. When I'd ask, she'd say, just business. And I'd nod, pretending to believe her, because the truth was easier to ignore than accept. The first real sign came one night at 2:17 a.m. Her phone lit up. A message preview, just a name. I recognized it instantly. The ex. She turned in her sleep, pulling the phone closer. I lay there, my hand inches away from hers, pretending to be asleep. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't even breaking. It was just numb. Like the part of me that used to feel love had already left the room. The next morning, I made her coffee, like always. She kissed me on the cheek, smiled, and said, "You're too good to me." And maybe I was. That was the moment I decided to stop being the fool in love and start being the man who watches. I didn't confront her. I didn't shout. I just started taking notes, mentally, legally, financially. Every lie she told me was a breadcrumb leading to her weakness. Every little secret became a future advantage. If she was going to end this marriage, I wanted to make sure she did it with empty hands. There's something strange about pretending you don't know. You start to see everything clearer. The way she'd smile when she got a message. The sudden new perfume. The girls' nights that ended with her coming home at dawn, hair messy, eyes tired, smelling like a different world. One night, she came in and froze when she saw me awake. "You scared me," she said, holding her phone too tight. "Didn't mean to," I replied, staring right through her. I think that's when she realized, I knew. And that terrified her more than anger ever could. Still, I played along. I helped her open new accounts for the business. Signed the papers she handed me. She thought she was being clever, moving things under her name, creating backdoors I'd never find. But she didn't know I'd already built my own. Everything she moved, I mirrored. Every cent she hid, I documented. And every message she deleted, well, let's just say she wasn't as tech-savvy as she believed. Then came the trip. She said it was for a client meeting out of town. She packed light, too light. No laptop. No notes. No business clothes. Just perfume and lingerie I hadn't seen in years. When she returned 3 days later, she was glowing. Different. Softer. Almost happy. She sat across from me at dinner, smiled like she'd been reborn, and asked, "Aren't you going to ask how it went?" I said no. She laughed and said, "You trust me too much." I smiled back, because she was right. I trusted her enough to let her hang herself with her own lies. Over the months, her emotional distance became arrogance. She started talking about freedom, about how people change, about how love shouldn't feel like obligation. It was like she was preparing a speech, one she planned to deliver when the time came to walk out. And I let her rehearse. Every word. Every excuse. What she didn't realize was that while she was practicing her escape, I was building mine, one that didn't leave me broken, or blind. I remember the night before she finally said the words. We had dinner together, quiet, mechanical. She barely touched her food. Her phone buzzed once, twice. She smiled at the screen when she thought I wasn't looking. Then she asked, "Do you ever think people just fall out of love?" I looked at her for a long time before answering. Only when one of them never meant it. She froze. Then she looked away. And I knew, tomorrow, she'd finally say it. When the morning came, she stood in the doorway with her suitcase. Her voice didn't shake. She said it like she'd been waiting to feel powerful again. "I'm leaving you for my ex. I never truly loved you." I just nodded. Because while she was walking toward the past, I was already steps ahead in the future, one where every move she made had already been anticipated. It took her 10 years to realize she never loved me. It took me 1 year to realize I'd stopped loving her long before that. And by the time she left, I had already turned her lies into my protection. Every deceit was now evidence. Every smile, an exhibit. She thought she'd left a broken man behind. But what she really left was a strategist. When Julia left, she thought she'd taken everything that mattered. Her clothes, her jewelry, even some of my family heirlooms, all packed neatly into the back seat of her new car. She didn't even look back. That was fine. Because everything she took was replaceable. What she didn't take was power. The truth is, I'd been preparing for that day for over a year. It started the night I saw her first message from him. I knew then that no confrontation could save us, only precision could protect me. So, quietly, I began to rearrange the chessboard. First came the finances. Every account, every shared asset, every property title, all carefully reviewed, restructured, legally shielded. I didn't hide anything. I just redirected. The house, for instance, had been refinanced under our joint name a few months prior, but the new agreement listed me as the primary owner, and her as a co-signer without retention rights in case of divorce or infidelity. Her signature was right there. She'd signed without reading, too distracted with her new business trip. Our savings accounts? Moved, consolidated, divided between legitimate business ventures, all under corporate names she never bothered to understand. And that small consulting firm she was so proud of? Registered under a trust. My trust. To her, everything still looked the same. But I knew the strings had already changed hands. Then came the information. I started saving every email, every message, every expense that didn't make sense. Not to use it against her, not yet. Just to have it. Evidence is like insurance. You hope you never need it, but if you do, it's already too late for the other side. I even hired someone. Not a detective, a forensic accountant. He didn't ask questions. Just followed transactions, built timelines, and quietly prepared reports. When it was done, he simply said, "If this ever goes to court, she won't walk away with a cent." That was enough. The hardest part was acting normal. Smiling, joking, cooking dinner, pretending I didn't know that every word out of her mouth was a lie. But I learned something valuable about silence during that time. When you stop reacting, people start exposing themselves. They speak freely. They slip up. Julia once said, half laughing over wine, "You'd never survive without me, you know." I just smiled and replied, "Let's hope I never have to find out." She thought it was a compliment. I knew it was a prophecy. As the months went by, her guilt turned into arrogance. She thought she was playing me. She thought I was still the man who'd do anything to keep her happy. But she had no idea I'd already started detaching from her emotionally, financially, and legally. I'd become a ghost in my own home, present, but unreachable. When she finally said the words, "I'm leaving you for my ex," it wasn't a heartbreak. It was confirmation that the plan could finally unfold. She took her bags and left the same night. I sat there in the dark, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator, and thought, this is what freedom sounds like. The next morning, I didn't rush to do anything. I made breakfast. Cleaned the kitchen. Then I sent one short email, to my attorney. Subject, "It's done." He knew exactly what that meant. Within hours, every account that had her access tied to it was frozen pending verification. Every automatic transfer she had set up was flagged for audit. Every shared asset she thought she owned now required dual authorization, mine and hers. And she didn't have the authority to sign a loan anymore. Later that afternoon, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a screenshot, her new boyfriend's social media post. A picture of the two of them, champagne in hand, captioned, "New beginnings." I stared at it for a while. Not angry. Not jealous. Just, done. Because while they were celebrating their new beginning, I was quietly closing her ending. The next day, the phone rang. Unknown number. I let it ring twice before answering. "Mr. Carter? This is Stephen, Julia's attorney." "Yes. I just got off the phone with her, and I'm honestly not sure what to say." He sounded nervous. Too nervous for a man who supposedly had the upper hand. "What's wrong?" I asked, calm as ever. "She came in today demanding we file for asset division," he said. "But everything she listed isn't legally hers. The house, the accounts, even the business, all under your trust or your name. She's furious. She thinks you tricked her." I didn't say anything. He hesitated. "She said you told her you'd take care of everything." "What did you mean by that?" I smiled. "I guess she just misunderstood," I said. There was a pause. Then the lawyer's voice softened, almost whispering. "The house, the accounts, my God, what did you tell her yesterday?" Click. Call ended. I sat there for a long moment, staring at my reflection in the black screen of the TV. No pride. No thrill. Just relief. People think revenge is about destruction. It's not. It's about release. Letting go, not because you forgive, but because you're finally done being the one who cares. By the end of the week, Julia sent a message. A single line. "You ruined me." I typed back. "No, Julia. You did that yourself. I just stopped fixing it." Then I deleted her number for good. That was the last time I ever heard from her directly. But it wouldn't be the last time she'd hear my name. Because in every legal meeting that followed, every lawyer who told her, "You have no claim," she was forced to remember the man she once said she never truly loved. The man who smiled and nodded. And quietly rewrote the ending. It's strange how silence can become addictive. When she left, I thought the quiet would hurt. But it didn't. It healed. For the first few weeks, I kept expecting the door to open again. Some part of me still thought she'd come back, apologizing, crying, pretending she made a mistake. But she didn't. She never looked back. And that was the moment I finally accepted something I should have seen years ago. That some people don't leave you when they walk out the door. They start leaving long before that, one lie at a time. I kept the house exactly the same. Her shoes were gone, her scent had faded, but everything else remained untouched, not because I missed her, but because I wanted to remember. Not the pain, but the lesson. Love without respect is just dependency. Forgiveness without change is submission. And trust without truth? That's suicide in slow motion. Every morning I woke up before sunrise. Coffee. Silence. The same chair by the window. I'd watch the light crawl across the kitchen floor and think about how many mornings I'd wasted waiting for her to wake up, just so she wouldn't feel alone. Funny how you can give someone your whole world, and they'll still act like it's not enough. But that's the price of pretending, both for her and for me. She pretended to love me. I pretended not to notice. And now we were both living with what we built, nothing. A few months later, I heard through mutual friends that her new beginning wasn't going well. Apparently, her ex, the one she'd left me for, had disappeared with her savings. She tried to take legal action, but she couldn't. The money wasn't even in her name. It was in mine. I should have felt vindicated. Maybe even proud. But I didn't. Because that's the other thing about revenge, once it's done, it doesn't taste sweet. It's just quiet. Like finishing a story you already knew the ending to. One evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something, maybe curiosity, maybe closure, made me pick up. "Hi, it's me." Her voice. Soft. Hesitant. Almost unfamiliar. "What do you want, Julia?" There was a pause, then a deep breath. "I just wanted to understand how you could do that. How you could be so calm. So cruel." I leaned back, looking at the fading light outside. "I wasn't cruel. I was careful." "You destroyed everything," she snapped. "No," I said quietly. "I just stopped letting you destroy me." Silence. Then, barely above a whisper. "Do you ever think about me?" I thought for a long moment before answering. "Sometimes," I said. "But never twice." Click. That was the last time I ever heard her voice. After that, life went on. Slowly, deliberately, peacefully. I focused on the business. Started traveling again. Reconnected with friends I'd neglected for years. It's strange how you can start to feel lighter when you finally let go of the version of yourself someone else created. I began to remember who I was before I became her husband. The man who laughed loudly. Who cooked for the joy of it. Who planned for the future because he actually had one. One night, months later, I sat by the fire in the backyard, the same place where we'd once planned our future. I looked up at the sky and thought about all the years I'd given her. 10 years. A decade of faith, patience, effort, and silence. But here's the thing about time. It's never really wasted if it teaches you something. And she taught me plenty. She taught me that love without honesty is manipulation. That loyalty to the wrong person is just self-betrayal. And that the quietest man in the room is usually the one who's already won. Sometimes I wonder if she ever regrets it, the way she left, the things she said, the man she turned me into. But then I remember, people like her don't regret. They rewrite. They convince themselves they were the victims all along. And that's fine. She can tell whatever story she needs to survive. I've got nothing left to prove. Because the real victory wasn't in what I took from her. It was in what I reclaimed from myself. I once thought love was about choosing someone again and again. Now I know it's also about choosing yourself when they stop deserving it. I didn't win by ruining her life. I won by finally walking away from mine, the one built on lies, apologies, and fake promises. And that, in the end, is the quietest kind of revenge there is. Sometimes I still drive past the house where she used to live before we met. It's old, rundown, barely standing. But every time I see it, I'm reminded of how far I've come, not in miles, but in peace. 10 years of love. 1 year of silence. And now, finally, a lifetime of freedom.